there's a couple folks here that I'd love for them to share their story on how the Ganjier program has impacted them directly. Justin, Johnny, welcome. For those that don't know, Johnny Casali is the farmer and owner of Huckleberry Hill Farms, the well-known Whitethorn Rose cultivar is Johnny's little girl, and then Justin Lee here, certified Ganjier, who came through the program last year and did the farm tour on Johnny's farm. And I think some magical stuff has come out of that meeting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just been a amazing magical experience. Just to give a little context, I first experienced Whitethorn Rose the year before I decided to start Ganjier at Emerald Cup. And so it was like the most unique profile, the best experience I ever had from any cultivar. I know that's subjective, but for me, it was the best experience I ever had. And it was like a moment where I was like, who grew this? I need to find who they are. So we did a little digging, my business partner, Sammy and I, and we found out it was Huckleberry Hill Farms, Johnny and Rose. And I was like, I don't know how, but somehow, some way, I've got to meet these people just to shake their hand and be like, the Whitethorn Rose is like one of the best things to ever happen to my life, just so you know. And eventually I looked into the Ganjier. I did my research and I was very interested in it. At the time I was working for another cannabis company. I convinced them to go ahead and pay for that and send me there, and it would be great for all of us, which it did help their company as well. So I went to the Ganjier program. I had no idea that you do a farm tour. I just went. I also didn't know that like the training and the assessment can be done on separate days, and I just like scheduled it all in the same weekend. But when I got there on day two, I just kind of heard like, oh, we're visiting a farm. Okay, where are we going? And I just heard whispers of, oh, you're going to Huckleberry. So like Whitethorn Rose Huckleberry. And they're like, yeah, Whitethorn Rose Huckleberry. And when you set up your Ganjier training date, from my understanding, it doesn't tell you what farm you're going to visit. It's random kind of. So I had no idea. One, I had no idea we're going to visit a farm, like I said. And so this kind of all felt like it was just kind of meant to be, right? So like I go there, I was super excited. I hear Johnny and Rose's story, just phenomenal. I chat with Johnny, and Johnny's a rock star. He was just so cool about it. I fanned out with him, and he's like, yeah, I got 50 pounds right now, non-exclusive. You want it? And we shook hands. I was like, what? So we exchanged information. I think I got Rose's number, and we picked up that conversation later. But it's just like one of those things where when you take a risk to start a company or anything, just to start anything that you're passionate about, you're always looking for those signs and those aha moments. And man, that was it right there. If that's not a sign that you're on the right path and doing the right thing. And I think one of the most amazing thing is that my business partner had this company, Ay Papi, and we had our vision for it, but going through the Ganjier really solidified and gave us a compass and a guide for exactly what we were going to stand for. And that's really to try to best represent and just be the translator for these amazing legacy cultivators and their cultivars. That's what we are. I mean, we don't make that magic, they do. And our job is just to try to represent it as best as we can in hash and rosin form. And for that, I am like eternally grateful for you, Johnny, because with that set me up with Lena, who's another Ganjier certified and Frenchie apprentice, and she set me up with Mattole Valley now. And so everything great that has happened to Ay Papi has been because of Ganjier, the entire community. Jocelyn, who you will hear from soon with Buddhist, and Elizabeth Sage, bringing together a Ganjier community to just chat and do a highlight on Ay Papi. I mean, this has been the most supportive community I've had. And I got to give a shout out to Nick T too, because he really helped me get into the sourcing game and showed me like how fun I don't think he even realizes it, but I was just like right on his hip when he was talking about like how he analyzes like the resin glands and everything. So, you know, I was on a huge high that day. So shout out to the Ganjier program, Johnny Rose, Huckleberry Hill Farms, and all of you.
Far out, Justin. Thanks, man. Johnny, why don't you share your side of this story, please?
Yeah. Thank you for all the kind words, Justin, and really thank you to the Ganjier program for including me in such a special thing. For my partner Rose and I think what's the most special part of working with the Ganjier team is that we get to meet the students. I mean, for me, it's all about the relationships with the people and really educating people that are really interested in cannabis about where a multi-billion-dollar industry started. And I don't ever pretend to know everything, but I've been doing this my whole life for the last 50 years. And it's really important to be able to share our story with people that care and people that really want to make a difference. And, looking around, looking at Kev and Nick T and Amanda and whoever else I'm not seeing on the screen, the level of professionalism that you guys are getting, or the students, the potential students that are getting, I don't think they know until maybe years afterwards. And I don't really co-sign for many people. Having grown up in the industry, your word is your bond, and I don't really stick my neck out for very many people, but that group of people at the Ganjier that you're working with is a very, very, very special group. They're not trying to deceive anybody. In my opinion, it's not about money. It's about really educating a group of people that are interested in as much in cannabis as that we are. And I hope to get to see you guys this summer, get to tell you a little bit of my story. I won't go into it, but in participating with the Ganjier, I've met Ay Papi. We met a gentleman named Matt Timmer, and I'm not sure if he was in last year's class, but in our couple hours here on a farm tour, was able to share some of the Whitethorn Rose with Matt. And this is just a tribute to how every one of us can make a difference, and how the Ganjier has made a difference in my life and other farmers' life. Is, he shared some of that Whitethorn Rose with a gentleman named Bert Kreischer, who is one of the top leading podcasters in America. And he really fell in love with Whitethorn Rose and the story behind it, a cultivar that I bred to a strain I used to grow with my mom when I was 10 years old. And, he reached out to us, and he actually flew us down to LA, and we did a podcast with him and another comedian, Jason Gilman, and I. And it's going to actually air tomorrow at the Bert Kreischer podcast. You guys should all listen to it. But we share a lot of the stories about Whitethorn Rose and about Lance and about really the pathway forward for the small farmer of the Emerald Triangle, and what makes us so special and unique. And the last time he mentioned Whitethorn Rose on his podcast, over 500 people reached out to me. And, I give credit to the Ganjier team and this program for really opening the doors to that kind of level of professionalism and that kind of connection. And it's just opened so many doors for me as a farmer, for a person that doesn't get off the farm very much and is not able to have that interaction with people. I mean, it's really been life-changing as a farmer, and I've met so many amazing people that will be lifelong friends for sure. And that's the most exciting part for me. And, that's exactly what Ay Papi has done for me. They've really opened a lot of doors. They're really aligned with my same values, and it's really exciting for me as a 50-year cannabis farmer to see so many people excited about the industry that we helped create. And before I leave you with that, I have to give credit to a special person in my life that was here at my house one year, several years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And we were thinking about, cannabis names. And that's not easy really as a breeder to come up with a name for a cannabis strain. And as we smoked a joint, I think together, Amanda Ryman really helped me come up with the cultivar's name, Whitethorn Rose. And so she deserves all the credit for coming up with the name. And In doing that and coming up with that name, she knew my particular story. She knew the story of the small town of Whitethorn, where I consider to have created a multi-billion-dollar industry, a small town in southern Humboldt that really took the brunt of enforcement when it came to camp and MET and all these enforcement teams that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. So thanks again, Amanda. I look forward to giving you a big hug, and I look forward to this year's students that get to come to Huckleberry Hill Farms.